Hey everybody, Mr. Grove here. Today we're going to talk about the mammals, and this is exciting because this is our last lecture of the year. And so mammals are class Mammalia of the phylum Chordata, and this is a big deal because this is what you are. So we finally reached to where you are. Some key characteristic traits for them is they have hair. And so really mammals are the only thing that has hair. And so hair is a filament of dead cells with keratin. So proteins, its primary function is insulation, but it can be used as a secondary function for camouflage. And so both of these factors give mammals a big advantage. So being warm-blooded, that insulation helps provide them with the ability to not lose as much heat. Some specialized hairs, it could be like whiskers for sensory, or like quills for a porcupine can be used for protection. But hair is isolated to mammals, and it's a big advantage. Another thing about mammals that they have is teeth. And so we've had things with teeth before, obviously. So some of the fish have had teeth, some of the reptiles have had teeth. But mammal teeth is a little different. So we have two sets, so baby and permanent teeth. Most mammals will have 4 different types of teeth, so incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. And so you'll kind of want to make sure that you know where those are at on a standard mouth. So you can just kind of feel around with your tongue and feel where your incisors, canines, premolars, and molars. So the incisors are going to be those front ones. And so particularly with like rodents, those incisors are very pronounced. And then canines, oftentimes with like dogs, which are, canines is what we call them. Those are pronounced, and those are used for like stabbing and holding, whereas incisors are more for biting and cutting. And then our premolars and molars are going to be back in the back of the mouth, and that's going to be more for grinding and crushing. So your mouth and those teeth that are more or less dominant really make a big difference based on what you are. Are you a predator, or are you an herbivore, or are you an omnivore to eat both plants and animals? And so the different teeth, the different skull scenarios, definitely lend themselves to different mammal habitat and traits. So teeth are a big deal as well for mammals. Another thing is we are warm-blooded, like what the birds were. And so because of that, we have to eat a lot more food. So mammals will eat about 10 times more food than what a reptile would eat. They get energy from their environment. So we are not getting that. And so we have to provide our own energy. And if we don't have a high enough body temperature, we could be in jeopardy ourselves for life. So that body temperature, being endothermic or warm-blooded, requires us to intake a lot of food. Another thing is respiratory. So we've got good, strong lungs. Even aquatic mammals, like whales and porpoises, still have to breathe air. So they will come up, breathe air, and they basically just hold their breath while they're swimming then. And so because of that, the lungs have shape. We have these chambers called alveoli that have a lot of little surface area. They look like little grapes in a cluster. And that surface area maximizes the ability to exchange the oxygen and carbon dioxide. Some other key features that make mammals so awesome is we also have a 4-chambered heart. So just like the birds had the 4-chambered heart, so the unoxygenated blood will come back in through the atrium, the right atrium, and then it will come into the right ventricle, and then that goes out to the lungs, and then it comes back in the left atrium, and then comes out through the left ventricle, and then that will go out to the rest of the body. And so the efficiency is tremendous, and it makes sure that all the blood that goes to the cells in the body has plenty of oxygen in them. And then probably the last key feature that is unique to mammals and just sets them apart is the ability to produce milk. So the female mammals will have mammary glands, and they produce milk. And so this, milk is a highly nutritious food product that gives these young mammals the ability to grow quickly and strongly, and to be able to be on their own quickly. And so the weaning is what we call when a mother will stop nursing. And so that has become part of our vocabulary. We say, someone is being weaned off of something. And so mammals will wean them off of the nurse milk. And that, mammals will still care for their young usually. So primates have the longest period of parental care. Other mammals will have shorter periods of that. The milk gives them a tremendous advantage, kind of this nutritious food that's, on the go, that they can, the babies can eat kind of anytime. So let's talk about some different types of mammals. And so the first are the exceptions to the kind of the rules. And so these are the monotremes and the marsupials. So monotremes are egg-laying mammals. And we don't have any of these in Bond County. And so these are going to be more South America, New Guinea, Australia. And so things like the platypus, our good buddy Perry there, and spiny anteaters. And so they're kind of an enigma. Are they reptiles? Are they birds? Are they mammals? Well, they're mammals, but they do lay eggs like reptiles. And they do have a cloaca. So that cloaca is that common entrance for reproduction and for waste. Okay. And so that common opening then. And so they have that. They do not have teeth. They will have like a beak, but they do have hair and they do have mammary glands. But their milk will actually ooze from glands on their belly and not from the nipples, then like normal mammals. Another type, like the monotreme, is the marsupial. And so this is a type of mammal that will, the baby is born just a few days or weeks after fertilization and will climb into the pouch. And so these are pouched mammals, even when only the front limbs are developed. So they crawl into that pouch, they'll attach to a nipple, and then they can get the milk nutrition that they need for the following several months. And then they can come out when they're old enough to survive on their own then. And so that's marsupials. And so most of these are not in Bond County. So kangaroos, wombats, koalas, wallaroos. However, we do have the possum. And so the opossum is our only North American marsupial. Like, yes, we couldn't get something interesting like kangaroos. We had to get the possum. So that's the monotremes and the marsupials, kind of the exceptions to the mammal rule. And everybody else is what we would call a placental mammal. So the body develops inside, the baby develops inside the female's body. The placenta exchanges food and oxygen and waste across, and then it completely develops then at birth. Okay, and so that is the placental mammals. And so with those, we have usually a period of gestation. And so that's going to be the mouse and rats are some of the shortest ones. So like 21 days, hamsters, as you can see, 16 days, squirrels, 14 days. And as we go up our list, we get all the way up to the elephant, which is almost 2 years of gestation. And so, ladies, be glad you're not an Indian elephant to have 2 years of pregnancy. As you can see, human babies are about 9 months, so that 40-week time period. But it's kind of an interesting concept of, different animals will have a gestation period longer or shorter than. Let's go through some of the orders. So class Mammalia, and so we've got several orders here. And so these are 12 common ones. There's some weird exceptions after that, but the ones that you've probably heard of and maybe even see. So our rodentia, so these are going to be all of our rodents, so mice, rats, squirrels, beavers. Like we said, their incisors continually grow, so they have to often gnaw on stuff to kind of keep those incisors worn down. About 40% of all placental mammals will be a rodent, the largest of which would be the beaver then. Another order, the Chiroptera, and so this is the bats. And so these are the only mammal capable of true flight. So the forelimbs are going to be wings, and they're used for clinging, grasping. These are carnivorous as well. So they eat a lot of mosquitoes using their echolocation. are insectivorous. So these are the moles and shrews. So they'll eat insects and grubs and earthworms and things. And then our fourth order is carnivora. And so carnivora then is going to have, we'll actually go down to the family on a few of these. So like feline would be the scientific family for cats. So lions, cats, tigers, bobcats, cougars. And then canine would be the scientific family name for like the foxes, wolves, coyotes, hyenas, kind of the dog type family. So bears, weasels, minks, skunk, otters, these are also in the carnivores. Okay, so these are meat eaters, extremely intelligent, good smell, good sight, good hearing, all the things that a good carnivore would need. And they have those long canine teeth then for pinning and capturing their prey. Four other ones. So we've got our Pinnipedia, and these are going to be our seals and sea lions and walruses. So we've got flippers, large layers of blubber, so they can survive in those cold Arctic and Antarctic waters. Primates, so these are the monkeys, apes, chimps, orangutans, and humans are in the order primate. So we've got eyes that are kind of on the forward of the head, not on the side, and so that gives exceptionally good depth perception. And the fact that we have grasping hands and feet also gives them the ability to do lots of cool things. Then we have our kind of herbivores, and there's two orders here, the Artiodactylia and the Perissodactylia. And with them, it's all about the toes. So if they have odd number of toes, so 1 or 3, then that's going to be a Perissodactylia. So this is going to be like horses, zebras, tapirs, rhinos. They have no rumen, but instead they have a cecum, which is an intestinal pouch for kind of chewing their cud. And then the Artiodactylia is going to be even-toed animals, so 2s or 4s. And so that's going to be pigs, hippos, deer, camels, cows, goats, giraffes, sheep, etc. So these are, do have a rumen, and that allows them to truly chew their cud. And so that's where they regurgitate and then chew more, regurgitate and chew more, and that's how they can get every little scrap of nutrition out of these things like grass and hay that they would eat. Our final of the four main ones would be the Cetacea. So these are like the predatory dolphins, porpoises, whales. And so, again, these are aquatic mammals, so they don't swim, breathe underwater. They just hold their breath. And they are also, many of them are going to be predators. Then we have our rabbits and hares, so the Lagomorphia. Again, with the constantly growing incisors. Some other fun facts about them: hares don't construct their nests. Rabbits do. They kind of line their nest with fur. And the young are born blind and furless. And then our Sirenia and our Proboscidea. So the Sirenia, these are the manatees. And so if you've ever seen a manatee, you might wonder how they were confused as a beautiful siren, mythologically speaking, like in the old sailor days. But that's where that name comes from. And so these are often called sea cows, the aquatic plants. Very curious mammals. And in fact, they really only have the main danger of man, through losing habitat. And they get hit by boats a lot because they're curious. And then the boat propellers will oftentimes get them. And then the elephants are the Proboscidea, the African and Indian elephants. And so they have that boneless trunk that has basically an elongated nose. Their incisors are what the tusks are, and these are herd herbivores. So they herd up, and then they are plant eaters. There are a few kind of the remaining orders that are a little bit more unique even than the previous 12. We won't really need to know these per se, just kind of know those original 12. So that is the mammals, and that is our final walk through the kingdom Animalia. And I hope that was helpful.